All right, let's dive in. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on something that's kind of like the hidden DNA of every single job out there. We're talking about the secret architecture that defines what it means to be a barista, a brain surgeon, you name it. I mean, come on, we've all seen them, right? These crazy job titles that sound like they were made up on the spot. You see something like that and you're just left scratching your head thinking, what does this person actually do all day? It's a huge problem, all this vagueness. But thankfully, there's a powerful tool designed to cut right through all that noise.
And that tool, it's called job analysis. Now for our chat today, I want you to think of it like this. It's the master blueprint for every single role inside a company.
Okay, so what is it really? Well, at its core, job analysis is this super systematic process. It's all about gathering and analyzing information, figuring out every little detail about a job. We're talking about the tasks, the responsibilities, the specific skills you need to crush it, and even the environment you'll be working in. It's the process that takes you from a fluffy title to a role that has real, solid substance.
And that's really the key idea here. Think about it. You would never, ever try to build a skyscraper without a super detailed blueprint, right? Well, it's the exact same idea for a company trying to build a great team. You just can't build an effective workforce without a clear, thought-out plan for every single position. The blueprint gives you the structure, it tells you what you need, and it defines the whole purpose of the role.
And this is just how crucial it is. Seriously, job analysis isn't some boring paperwork exercise that gets filed away in a cabinet. No way. It's the absolute bedrock of pretty much every major HR function. I mean, how can you possibly know who to hire or how much to pay them or even what kind of training they need if you don't first understand exactly what the job is? The short answer is, you can't. It all has to start right here.
Okay, so if this blueprint is so ridiculously important, how do companies actually go about making one? Well, it's definitely not guesswork. There's a real formal process for putting these plans together.
And it pretty much always follows these four main stages. First up, you've got to figure out why you're even doing the analysis in the first place. What's the goal? Then, you narrow it down and decide exactly which jobs you're going to look at. Step 3 is the big one. That's where you roll up your sleeves and collect all the data. And finally, you take all that info and organize it into 2 super important documents, and we'll talk about those in just a sec.
But that kind of leads to the big question, doesn't it? Where does all that information actually come from? How do you really get inside a job to understand what makes it tick? It's almost like being a detective. And you know what? Analysts have a whole toolkit of methods they can use.
And just like any good toolkit, each tool has its pros and cons. You've got interviews, for example. They're amazing for really complex jobs, but man, they take a lot of time and money. Or you could literally just watch someone do their job. That's observation, which is perfect for simpler, hands-on tasks. Then you have things like questionnaires, which are super cheap and fast, but you might lose some of the finer details. So the method you end up choosing really depends on the kind of job you're trying to figure out.
All right, so let's say the detective work is done. You've collected all your data. What's the final result? What do you actually have in your hands? Well, you've got the finished blueprint, and it's made up of 2 very distinct, very crucial parts.
And this quote from the source material really just nails it. The whole analysis boils down to 2 key documents. One that describes the job itself, and another that describes the perfect person for that job.
Okay, so this is the part to really remember. You've got 2 halves. The job description, that's the what. It's the laundry list of tasks, duties, and responsibilities, all the stuff you actually do. Then you have the job specification, that's the who. This part outlines the knowledge, the skills, the qualifications, basically everything a person needs to bring to the table to do the job well. You absolutely need both halves to get the full picture.
But you know how it is. In the real world, things change. Jobs are not set in stone forever. Technology evolves, companies grow and pivot, and that means those beautiful blueprints we just made, yeah, they have to be updated. And that whole process of updating the blueprint has a name. It's called job redesign. And it's not just about, keeping up with the times. It's a really strategic move to make jobs more efficient, more interesting for employees, and more in line with where the company's headed. It's basically the renovation phase for the job. And there are a bunch of ways to tackle it, each one solving a different kind of problem. For instance, you could use work simplification, which is all about breaking down tasks to make things super efficient, perfect for, say, a production line. Or there's job rotation, which is an amazing tool for a startup where you need everyone to wear a lot of different hats. And then you have job enrichment. That's huge for keeping your top performers happy by giving them more responsibility and freedom. See, it's all about strategically shaping the work to hit specific goals. And this really points to where the whole field is going. Now, instead of just making a list of today's tasks, modern job analysis is looking to the future. It's starting to ask a different question. What are the core competencies? We're talking about things like adaptability, critical thinking, communication. What are the skills we're going to need to win tomorrow, even if the specific tasks change completely?
And that, right there, leads us to a pretty big final thought. As we get smarter and more systematic about analyzing and designing work, as we break it all down into neat little tasks and competencies, it really makes you wonder, who or what are we designing these next-generation job blueprints for? Is it for a human or something else? Definitely something to chew on. Thanks for tuning in.